We will now proceed to Session 2, Developing Resilient and Flexible Power Systems. This session discusses the critical role of enhancing resiliency and flexibility in our power systems against physical disruptions, supply shocks, and digital threats. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Keisuke Sadamori, Director, Energy Markets and Security, International Energy Agency, to moderate the session. Mr. Sadamori, please.
Thank you. The Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the second panel of this Ministerial with a discussion on how we can develop resilient and flexible power systems. So our panelists will focus on the critical role of enhancing resiliency and flexibility in our power systems against the physical disruptions, supply shocks, and digital threats. Now, as we are far behind the schedule, as you may know, so I think that I would like to, I would have to, I'm afraid, give up plans to ask the kind of follow-up questions. So we would like to go straight to the presentation, and I would like to ask for a kind of a cooperation in terms of the kind of the concise, brief the interventions by all the panelists. So our first speaker His Excellency Dr. Peter Kadirjak, Minister of State, Minister of Energy and Climate Affairs of Hungary. First of all, thank you, Minister, for moderating the first session. Thank you very much for that. So now, floor is yours to talk about your own country. So please, Minister, thank you.
Thank you very much, Keisuke. I try to be very brief and start maybe with saying that in Hungary, there is our strategic objective is to decarbonize further Hungary's electricity generation sector. By 2030, the share of decarbonized electricity should be up to 80–90% compared to the present 60–65% in that regard. We foresee the role for nuclear in our system, which is a massive low carbon baseload electricity generation. This is combined with renewable electricity. In Hungary, this is solar heavy, although we have some role for biomass, geothermal, maybe wind later, but this might add up maybe 30% by 2030 of our mix. And in that regard, we are just closing these days our second round of renewable electricity tender for renewables. Best bids are around €50 per megawatt hour. Beyond nuclear and renewables, natural gas should play a critical role in providing flexibility and also baseload option for Hungary. So in the midterm, we consider natural gas-based electricity generation as indispensable for Hungary, also for replacing our last lignite plant. Now, in order to support decarbonization, we also put effort into cost-efficient system integration of large-scale intermittent renewables. Our objective is to have 6 gigawatt of photovoltaic capacity in the system by 2030 compared to 1.5 gigawatt today. So this is a fast move. And we think that the government focus should be, on one hand, to promote competition in entering the renewables market through tendering and using mostly private finance. Now, government finance should be more focused on supporting electricity grid upgrade. We are planning for the next EU budget to use money for this purpose, and also to provide for enhanced flexibility for the system. And ensuring cybersecurity is, of course, another issue. Now, for us, available flexibility options are interconnections, gas-based generation, and new options are storage and the demand side. And for us, the really big question is what practice we should use to support the planning to have a proper flexibility mix in our country, especially how to best reveal and incentivize efficient flexibility options, and what institutions, incentives, we should use to develop those flexibility options. System services and flexibility markets only are sufficient and enough, or do we need some additional incentives? My last comment, our current policy is to start energy innovation pilot projects for storing renewable electricity. And also we are currently developing a tendering scheme for investment grants up to 40% for demand side storage projects and flexibility projects for us. So these are, this is in a very brief nutshell how we think about these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And your question in your intervention, that's the very critical kind of a central question that we need to discuss with member countries, but also with the non-member countries as well. Thank you very much for this the excellent intervention. Next, I would like to turn to Mr. Kimmo Tiilikainen, the State Secretary, Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment of Finland. So, Secretary, floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dear ministers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's nice to virtually see you all today. First of all, I would like to thank the government of Singapore and the IEA for organizing this topical and timely ministerial conference. Dear colleagues, we have faced a massive challenge by COVID-19 for our societies. Advancing clean energy together is something what can help us in recovering from the crisis. Now it's time to invest in clean options to boost our economy and to achieve other long-term goals, such as the objectives of the Paris Agreement. To me, it's clear that energy system is becoming more digital and more electric. Demand of electricity will rise significantly when heating and industry get electrified. One might say that renewable electricity is the new oil for our economies. In Finland, we have set ourselves a vision that we want to be leaders in smart energy systems. Finnish companies have developed globally used solutions in flexible energy production, energy storage, smart grids, and charging infrastructure. Also, sustainable biofuel technologies is an important stronghold for us. As a country with high expertise on 5G networks, we are also experts in IoT development for energy applications, as well as automation and cybersecurity software development for energy companies. Dear colleagues, next I would like to make 3 points on how governments can enable integration of renewables. My first point is that make the customers to play a central role. Smart meters, competition in electricity markets, and dynamic pricing empower the customers to take the lead role in demand-side management. Secondly, make sure that your policy framework is right to enable investments to energy production, including even flexible backup power and other measures to secure grid stability at all times. Thirdly, share the best practices in close public-private cooperation to ensure that cybersecurity is seriously taken care of. Finally, regional cooperation is a key to cost-efficient and reliable electricity networks. I can say that the Nordic electricity cooperation has been a success case in this, and we are very willing to share our experiences of our common electricity market. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you all to follow virtually excellent Nordic events during Singapore Energy Week 2020. Tomorrow at Asian Clean Energy Summit, there will be a panel discussions on lessons from Nordic regional energy system cooperation. And on Thursday, Nordic Green Conference will also focus on electricity integration of renewables. I thank you all and wish you an excellent Singapore Energy Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Indeed, the Nordic systems, that's a very very good model for the well-connected, integrated kind of regional systems that the other countries should learn from. And also, the IEA would like to do our best to facilitate the best practice sharings. Thank you very much, Secretary. Next, I would like to ask Ms. Elizabeth Wilkelmer Becker, the Parliamentary State Secretary, Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, Germany. The Minister, floor is yours. Thank you.
Dear ministers, dear colleagues, thank you for organizing this second edition of our conference. We had the pleasure to host the first one in Berlin last year, but I think the topic of our conference is now, in times of pandemic, even more important than it was last year. And congrats for the high-level speakers that you brought together. Luckily, the German power system has proven to be resilient during the pandemic. Electricity supporters and suppliers, grid operators, and power exchanges resorted on existing emergency routines to ensure uninterrupted service. Of course, we observed reduced overall electricity consumption. This helped renewable energy systems generation to reach a share of 50% of gross electricity consumption during the pandemic. But at the same time, reduced electricity demand led to lower prices, and this significantly increased the overall subsidy cost for renewables. We can observe that the energy system is changing and can become more vulnerable during this process. Therefore, resilience becomes more important for modern energy systems. It surely is not reasonable or even possible to design an energy system that can withstand any kind of disturbance. Instead, we need to design a system which can quickly restore its function after a disturbance. How can we achieve this? Ancillary services like voltage control and black startability are vital to support power systems operation. Due to the rising share of renewable energy sources and the decline in conventional power generation, innovative ancillary services products and new market participants come into the picture. The procurement of ancillary services is subject to an ongoing review process, which sets the framework for regulatory amendments. Furthermore, the integration of higher shares of renewables requires substantial expansion of transmission and distribution grids in Germany. According to Germany's grid development plan, the transmission grids needs to be expanded by approximately 10,000 kilometers of reinforced or new lines. The necessary concrete projects are fixed by law. This law is currently amended in order to incorporate high grid projects which are necessary to reach the new goal in the electricity sector, which amounts to a renewable share of 65% of gross electricity consumption in 2030. Another key requirement for a resilient power system and a successful energy transition is digitalization, especially since the energy system is becoming more complex and decentralized. Let me give you two examples. Smart meter technology will serve as the communication backbone for the energy system of the future. Therefore, we have decided to introduce a publicly certified communication platform technology, so-called smart meter gateways, that will interconnect all participants in the energy system. For example, grid operators, utilities, consumers, etc. Smart meter gateways ensure the secure integration of meters and technology device in a smart energy system. Furthermore, cutting-edge technologies such as artificial intelligence or blockchain will also play a vital role for managing the future energy system. Thus, we have founded the Future Energy Lab at the Germany Energy Agency in order to pilot the application of new technologies together with market partners. So let me finish in a short assessment of the past months, even if in our view it might still be a bit early to discuss possible lessons learned as the pandemic is not yet overcome. We have seen that the supply within the EU due to COVID-19 has not been disrupted. Preserving essential transport flows within the energy supply chain is also a key importance, and cybersecurity becomes essential when more and more people work remotely. So far from Germany in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, for excellent intervention. And I would like to thank here for the leadership of Germany in leading the renewable the deployments, and also to be the first host of this system integration renewable ministerial process. Thank you very much, Minister. Next, I would like to turn from European countries to Asia region. So our next speaker is Mr. Yasumasa Nagasaka, State Minister, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry of Japan. Minister Nagasaka, floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I am Nagasaka, State Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry of Japan. May I introduce to you Japan's latest response to resilient and flexible power system. Yesterday, Japan's Prime Minister Suga stated the aim to achieve carbon neutral by 2050. In building a flexible power system, renewables are needed, and we need a system that integrates more renewables. But there is a grid constraint is a big issue, which is no unused capacity left in the grid. And currently in Japan, Japanese version of Connect and Manage is being worked out to make maximum use out of existing grid. For example, for non-firm connection, which is to offer earlier grid access in exchange for curtailment in time of transmission congestion. The work is now underway to apply this notion nationwide within next year. However, under the current first-come, first-served basis rule, in time of grid congestion, coal-fired generation might get priority as it was connected earlier, so that renewables which was non-firm connected might be subject to curtailment. To resolve this issue, comprehensive review is underway to look into use rule of major transmission lines. IEA's World Energy Outlook published this month points to the importance of grid investment for decarbonization, as well as the importance of transmission operators to secure revenue and remuneration. At the previous Diet session, electricity business law was revised to secure necessary investment and to suppress the cost as much as possible. Revenue cap system was introduced to new wheeling fee schedule. For strengthening the resilience of the grid in the said revised law, it was clarified that Organization for Cross-Regional Coordination of Transmission Operators will take on the role of formulating master plan and obligating general transmission and distribution operators to formulate a disaster cooperation plan for prompt and efficient responses in time of disasters. Further, measures have been taken by law to enable distributors to run grid, including distributed small-scale power source within a specified area, as well as to enable the network to be run independently in time of crisis. In expanding the integration of renewables, in addition to the transmission and distribution, to respond to the supply which exceeds demand, the storage batteries and other storage technologies such as hydrogen will become important as well. Therefore, as they adjust for power supply and demand and emerging power sources, storage batteries will be introduced. Lastly, for globally promoting clean energy transition, international cooperation is indispensable. We value highly the contribution of IEA, such as Power Security Report, and Japan will proactively contribute through technology development and sharing of expertise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, for introducing a very specific, concrete actions to enhance the resilience of the power systems in Japan. Thank you very much for that. Next is Mr. Sinava Sophanovorn, the Vice Minister of Energy and Mines from the Lao PDR.
Today, it's my pleasure and honor for being a representative of Ministry of Energy and Mines, Lao PDR, attending the second Global Ministerial Conference on the System Integration of Renewables, which is part of Singapore International Energy Week through online platform. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the social economic development of Lao PDR is heavily relied on natural resources to accelerate economic growth and reduce poverty. The government of Laos has focused on the sustainable development as a key issue and always flagged the importance of sustainable energy development. Previously, Laos have cooperated with international organizations, particularly Global Green Growth Institute, in collaborating for identified strategy of greenhouse gas reduction, and also work with UN ESCAPE in creating the roadmap of Lao PDR in achieving SDG 7 and target to reduce greenhouse gas emission. Furthermore, Laos have endorsed the strategy of green growth, ensuring the environmentally friendly economic development. Distinguished guests, to engage with green growth direction, the energy sector has identified the development of hydropower as the key potential resource of the country. In addition, we also recognized the importance of renewable energy. We therefore put our great attention on renewable energy development such as solar, biomass, wind power, including other resources, to improve energy diversity. In our 5-year sectoral development plan from 2021-25, we also set our target to promote the clean energy consumption into the transport sector and to develop the charging station for electric vehicle for more than 100 stations throughout the country. Considering the government target of 30% electric vehicle sales by 2030. Further, we also look for possibility of using the surplus of energy in producing the green hydrogen and to put efforts on our A5 energy strategy is affordable, accessible, abundant, advanced, alternative energy. Ladies and gentlemen, beside the hydropower development, Lao PDR also prioritizes the safety improvement of the dams, giving the great efforts in management, administration, work, and the water management in each hydropower plant. According to the dam's inspection plan, we was conducted dam safety inspection for 55 projects of large dams to ensure the safety of the hydropower management and minimize the impact on the environment. To this end, on behalf of Ministry of Energy and Mines, again, I'd like to sincere thanks to all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for happiness, healthy, and stay safe from COVID-19 pandemic and success in all aspects of life. Wish you the best of luck. Pujari. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Yu Kim Maung Win, Deputy Minister for Electricity and Energy of Myanmar. Minister, floor is yours.
Mingalava, and good afternoon, Excellency, Ministers, and distinguished delegates from across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ministry of Electricity and Energy of Myanmar, I would like to extend our kind regard to the government of the Singapore and the organizer of this SIEW 2020. It is my honor to speak in this section, section 2. The topic is developing resilient and flexible power system. So electricity supply is a vital role for the economic development for all nations, and the electricity supply chain comprises of generation, transmission, and distribution, and end user services rely on the operation of all these upstream components. System operators have to face the fluctuation of voltage and frequency, even in daily operation of the power systems. The operators need to make decisions and pay quick response to the power system to be balanced and stable, especially they manage frequency and voltage regulations. So at present, in Myanmar power grid only 3,800 megawatt supply to the whole grid. Hydropower is a 49%, thermal power is a 50%, and solar power is only 1%. So among them, the thermal power is base load and electricity demand is increasing about 500 megawatt, 15% annually. So we have planned ground-mounted solar new project, and now they are processing. So recently, we had already issued the letter of acceptance (LOA) about 790 megawatt among 1,030 megawatt for ground-mounted solar power project. If these solar projects are completed, we will be able to achieve 14% of the generation mix. So coming years, 2021, April, we can get partial power from these solar projects. So although Myanmar Nation has a great plan to maintain resilient and flexible as much as we can, main power system operation challenges are still trying to be solved. In here, COVID-19 pandemic forced people to stay at home, and social distancing and health-related instruction. We do commend special operation isolating 2 separate teams of grid operators, special arrangement for monthly meter reading, billing, auditing of the electricity charges. However, critical issues are project implementation. Foreign and local expert, technician, and labor cannot join their committed start of the project in time due to travel restriction, and also delay the delivery schedule for the equipment because manufacturing are in lockdown area. However, the solution of management could be assessed by virtual meeting through online. So actual virtual platform is important for dealing and communication of business and without having digitalization. Digitalization can maintain grid stabilization and optimization through real-time load balancing and network control, enabled by connected device and advanced monitoring capability. Now, Myanmar power system has SCADA system among our main power station, substation, and control center. Fully function of SCADA system for the whole power system is being implemented in Myanmar year by year. Let me conclude in here. I would like to say that challenges are opportunities for the development. We will get soon as the theme for the SIEW 2020, our low carbon energy future together. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, we're all struggling to against this challenge posed by the COVID-19, and also the more of a kind of a long-term the issues with the energy and electricity systems. Thank you very much for your intervention. Next, I would like to turn to the Mr. Tony Christian Tiller, State Secretary, Minister of Petroleum and Energy of Norway. Secretary, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Sadamori. Good morning from Oslo, Norway. Thank you for inviting Norway to take part in this seminar, and thank you for your interventions so far. Very briefly on Norway's electricity supply. It's almost 100% renewable, consisting mainly of hydropower and some wind power. As one of few countries in the world, Norway is fortunate to have a surplus of renewable power in most years. Flexible hydropower is the backbone of our power supply. The opportunity to store massive amounts of energy in reservoirs gives us a resilient and stable power supply. And flexible hydropower is crucial to maintain the balance in our energy system while integrating variable renewable energy like wind and solar. We are, however, strongly dependent on weather conditions and climate. Interconnecting with the power systems of neighboring countries has been a key strategy since the 1960s. This provides us with increased flexibility and a security of supply. We have two new interconnectors, one to Germany and another to the UK, currently scheduled for completion in 2020 and 2021. Making our flexibility and security of supply even more robust. In Norway, electricity is the dominating energy carrier in households, services, and industry. The share of electricity in our transportation system is also growing rapidly. This year, almost 50% of new passenger car sales have been electric vehicles. Simultaneously, charging of electric cars is a challenge to the grid that we are working on. Smart meters, which was recently rolled out to every household in Norway, in combination with smart charging system, is helping to mitigate these issues. I'm also proud to see how electrification of transport creates new opportunities for our export industries, contributing to energy transition in other countries. One example is the Norwegian company Zaptec, who exports advanced charging systems for electric vehicles. And we have an organization called Norwegian Energy Partners that promote Norwegian energy companies abroad, and urge you to take a look at them. Now, while pursuing our ambitions for further electrification, we must keep in mind the underlying foundation for this transition: a flexible, renewable, and efficient power system, and a well-developed and strong grid. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, the Secretary. Yes, indeed, the 100% renewables with the kind of flexibility. It's really a kind of an envious situation. Very good. Let me turn to the United States. His Excellency Theodore J. Garish, the Assistant Secretary for Office of International Affairs, of the Department of Energy of the United States. So Ted, floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiske. Appreciate being here, and really an honor to work with two organizations very respected around the world, IEA and EMA, that I've worked with in the past. We're here to talk about resiliency, and that means we need to deal with renewable intermittency, those times when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow. The US has a very large amount of renewables in its system now. And if I can, in the interest of time, let me just go to two quick points that I would like to really emphasize here. And that is, the first, we still need adequate baseload power properly compensated. And I'd just like to talk for a second about the experience we've recently had in our state of California. California was going to go to 100% renewables and rely on neighboring states to provide additional electricity when needed. But okay, I'm back. Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, please.
California was in the process of relying 100% of renewables, but during the very hot summer, when peak demand required electricity for air conditioning, California was unable to get electricity from neighboring states. And they had rolling blackouts, which this really demonstrated the need for baseload power. And I think that that's one of the important elements that we need to remain in our system, and they need to be adequately compensated for periods when we do not have the renewables that we need. The second thing is we need to have demand response to cut the peaks for renewables when we have high demand of electricity. Demand response really requires several things. The first is really full digitalization, universal metering, time of day charges, incentives for consumers to reduce their loads, innovation through batteries, potentially even electric vehicles that are now being considered when they're recharging at home or at offices to be used for the overall process. So in the United States, innovation in batteries is very key. Our national labs are working and very involved in innovation moving forward in this sector. So our labs stand ready to work with other countries as they deal with these problems. And we look forward to beginning to solve our intermittency issues and through both a combination of baseload and full digitalization. Those are the two elements that I would just like to emphasize today for your discussions. Kiske, thank you for the opportunity to appear here today. I really appreciate it, and good luck to all, and stay healthy.
Thank you, Ted. Yes, a lot of the new technology efforts are going on, but I think that for a while, it is very important to maintain this kind of a dispatchable generation capacity to maintain the stability of the system. Thank you very much for the good points. Our next speaker is Mr. P.K. Pujari, Chairman of the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission of India. Mr. Pujari, floor is yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon. As mentioned by all the previous speakers, our system around the globe are changing rapidly due to a combination of technological, social, meteorological, and economic drivers. These changes highlight the greater need for flexibility and resilience in the energy system. Indian power system has been predominantly coal-based thermal generation with limited hydro and gas-based generation. However, with the commissioning of about 70 gigawatt of renewable generation, the generation mix has changed but still with marginal hydro and gas-based generation. Thus, the risks and constraints associated with the need for greater flexibility and resilience in the power system in India stems from variability of renewables and inflexibility of the existing thermal fleet of generators in the absence of any significant hydro or gas-based generation. Therefore, the options available are, apart from making the existing fleet of thermal power plants as flexible as possible, demand-side management, storage systems, ERs, and international interconnections with the neighboring countries who have substantial hydro potential. Therefore, a well-designed policy, market, and regulatory framework are critical to assess and plan for this flexibility. We at CERC, as the central regulator, have taken a number of initiatives in this regard, and not only to unlock the existing flexibility in the system, but also harness other flexible resources. I will touch upon some of the key initiatives in very briefly. To provide flexibility, the Commission has prescribed for a technical minimum of 55% in case of thermal generating units supported with appropriate compensation mechanism. The existing hydro and gas generations are being utilized during peak hours, and the Commission is exploring options to operate coal plants under two-shift operation for morning and evening peak support wherever possible. The Commission recognizes that local solutions like storage technology at distribution level and recognizing demand response and storage as market participants will result in flexibility in the system. Further, transparent price mechanism in terms of pricing provide signals regarding the opportunity cost of power depending on peaking and off-peaking time, encouraging flexible resources. The Commission, therefore, has already put in place the required regulatory framework. The framework for real-time market for electricity introduced from the 1st of June this year is expected to bring the required flexibility in the market to provide real-time balance while ensuring optimal utilization of the available surplus capacity in the system. A digital grid supported by two-way communication would enable utilities to partner with end consumers and better respond to disruptive challenges. The bi-directional flow of data and information, load forecast, and demand-side management can be made more efficient. The smart capabilities required for a digital grid, however, involve smart meters, analytics, big data, digital platforms, IT/OT integrations, among other things. To address these emerging challenges, the Commission is working with international cooperation on developing strategies for ensuring flexibility and enhancing the system reliability in the Indian power system. It is a work in progress. I thank you for giving this opportunity and for your kind attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pujari. The IEA has been working very closely with India for the secure electricity systems and the renewable the integrations. So, and we would like to do more, continue to work more. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Jiraporn Sirikum, Deputy Governor, the Strategy Electricity Generation Authority of Thailand. The Mr. Kram, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, His Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed a great pleasure to be here with you on the speech in Singapore International Energy Week 2020 in the session 2, Developing Resilient and Flexible Power System. I would like to take this opportunity to have the speech today mainly covering the overview of latest Thailand Power Development Plan 2018, the digitalized power system and resilience from COVID-19 in Thailand context. Firstly, I would like to give you an overview of Thailand Power Development Plan, or we call PDP 2018. The PDP is a key plan to procure electricity and support national power demand by accommodate the growth of economic and population as well as national urbanization. The Ministry of Energy of Thailand, together with Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand, or EGAT, and related organizations, have formulated the latest Power Development Plan, the PDP 2018, applied for the year 2018 to the year 2037. With the planning horizon was in the line of 20 years of Thailand national strategy. Additionally, the PDP 2018 Revision 1 have just passed the cabinet resolution by last week. Secondly, may I draw your attention to the three key principles of Thailand to PDP 2018, which are energy security, economic equality, and environmental friendly. In the first principle, on the top of energy security, the PDP has emphasized in power system security, including generation, transmission, and distribution. In the area of accommodating the increasing power demand in the region and national level to have adequate power plants for energy security. Additionally, we focus on the diversify of fuel by reducing natural gas dependency and increasing the power supply from renewable energy. In the second principle, we focus on the economic. The formulation of PDP 2018 was implemented in priority given to the lowest generation cost to reduce the power consumer burden and not higher long-term country economic competitiveness. In the third principles on ecology and environmental friendly, the PDP 2018 we was consider the increase of proportion of generated electricity from renewable energy, which is in the line with we have the special plan we call alternative energy development plan for renewable energy plan. Additionally, by the plan we also promote the energy efficiency in both generation and consumption by introducing demand response or other distributed generation for the energy efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to, with the change of technology and consumer behavior, the utility have transformed our business to in accordance with the transition period. The introduction of grid modernization concept of the adopt EGAT implementation plan focusing on the flexibility option, which will be arranged both power generation and grid infrastructure. The innovative initiation, including big data management architecture, renewable energy forecast system as the key role dealing with the challenge. We will cover with the demand side, smart grid systems will be the vital principle together with the concept of virtual power plant. So not only that, the battery energy storage system and the load aggregation solution will also perform that one. By comparing the day of the highest energy demand in the March 2020, the pattern of demand profile before COVID-19 incident was nearly the same as the year 2019. After the April 2020, the Thailand have faced the impact of electricity demand the same as the global circumstance. The pattern of load profile different from the year 2019. We also, because of the worker, they are work from home, so it's caused the reduction of power demand. Regarding the Thailand context, the impact of COVID-19 in energy sector was slightly since our power system has been sufficient, robust, developed. And similarly to COVID-19 situation, EGAT has faced the difficulty similar to the great inundated in the year 2011. We took that circumstance into action by developing other modernized power system according to the past event. Our management during the current condition was seen to be well prepared. So finally, I hope everyone safe from COVID-19, healthy, happiness, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction of your country's PDP. And the IEA has been working very closely with the EGAT, and we really appreciate the contributions from your side. Thank you very much for this. Now, our last speaker in this session is Mr. Jerome Pecresse, from the GE Renewables. So, floor is yours, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sadamori. I'm really honored to be here, and I'd like to thank the IE for letting me share our views at General Electric on how the energy system have evolved, its impact on the grid, and our recommendations for the creation of a more resilient and flexible power system. Let me start by reminding you about the trends driving the energy transformation that you see on the right and which you are familiar with. Firstly, decarbonization. We all know that thanks to regulation and incentives, along with innovation in technology, we have seen a massive acceleration in the adoption of renewable energy in recent years. By 2030, renewable energy is expected to account for 30% of all electricity generated. At the same time, we are seeing an increase in electrification, including of the heating and transportation sectors. And the third trend driving the energy transformation is decentralization. Thanks to new technologies, such as solar panels and battery storage, we are now able to produce and store energy closer to where we consume it, giving rise to the term prosumers. As a result of these trends, the grid system needs to be even more resilient and more flexible. And to do so, we need to take collectively action in three main areas that you see on the right. The first one is digitalization. It will help us to improve the reliability of the grid through access to real-time information and remote management. We are seeing today more and more interest from utility companies for all things digital can provide, from digital substations to digital asset lifetime maintenance service solutions for more grid flexibility. And we are investing also in digital solutions for connecting better wind energy and any type of solar energy into the grid. The second pillar has to be the needed reinforcement into the grid infrastructure. We all know that investment in the grid network will also be key, and it has been said a few times this morning. Around 80% more transmission and distribution lines are needed in the next decade compared to the last 10 years to improve the dispatchability and integration of renewables. Some examples have been given today by ministers and are encouraging, particularly for grid connecting different national grids together. This being said, the financial health of many utilities, especially in developing economies, has worsened as a result of the COVID crisis. And this means that electricity grids could prove to be the weak link in the transformation of the power sector. This can be the case in Asia, it can be the case elsewhere, and it would have major implications for the reliability and security of the world electricity supply. Lastly, regulation and policies. Finally, we need regulation and policies to accelerate the decarbonization of the energy system while respecting the trilemma of affordability, reliability, and sustainability. We need to boost investments and planning decisions for renewable energy and the grid that leverage also hybridizations, storage, and hydro power for an efficient decarbonization. At the same time, we need to adapt the grid codes and the market design for the optimal integration of renewables and to leverage innovative technology and reveal the value of flexibility. So to summarize, digitalizations, investment in the grid network, and better regulations will be key to a resilient and flexible grid in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerome. I think this was an excellent summary of the discussion of this session, which made my life much easier. So without trying to kind of summarize this event, I would like to immediately turn the microphone to the MC for the final session of this ministerial. And thank you very much for all the panelists for the excellent intervention and discussions. Thank you very much for this.